Hey Guardians, I just want to let everyone know that I do have both a Twitch and a Twitter, and I'm very active on both. Feel free to come give me a follow on both, links in the description.
Oh shit, I'm so weak. Holy, look at that. Look at that beam
Dude,
from there.
the range is just absurd. I mean, that's
Wait, what
hand
roll do you have
cannon.
on it? Is it like hipfire and everything? Be
Yeah,
hipfire, right?
it has 68 range, but like that's hand cannon range.
That's crazy.
Alright, I know all of you have run into Division in PvP. It's pretty much everywhere. In fact, during the last Exalted Truth weekend with trials on Eventide Labs, my friend and I could not get away from it. Division has the potential to be very, very strong, like meta strong, hard meta strong, with the right setup. Which does make this an interesting review because with Division, you basically have two entirely different weapons. You have Division by itself, and you have Radiant Dance Machines Division, so let's talk about it. Now, starting with PvP, Division is an arc heavy burst sidearm from the Heresy activities, with Court of Blades being the best spot to farm for it. Now, let's start by taking a look at its base stats. 50 range with around 16 or so meters of reach in theory, 39 stability, 33 handling, 23 AE, and 87 aim assist. So, keeping in mind that, particularly in the current sandbox with fusion rifles and abilities everywhere, range is very important on pretty much any close to mid-range weapon. With that in mind, for your stat perks, I would go with small bore for range and stability for your barrel, then accurized rounds for your mag, and a range masterwork, then throw a ballistics mod on there, or potentially an adept range mod if you get the adept version. And with that roll, you're looking at between around 17 to 18 meters of range, give or take a little bit. It can reach further than that though, a lot further, and we're going to talk about that. Be patient. Now, moving on to those third and fourth columns, you can see the perks on your screen now, and this was pretty clearly meant to be a PvP weapon. There are some PvE options as well, but this is definitely a PvP leaning perk pool. So, in that third column, you have Hipfire Grip, To the Pain, and Encore. Fourth column, you have Kill Clip, Sword Logic, Swashbuckler, Offhand Strike, and Eye of the Storm. And yeah, there's some pretty special things you can do with this, but let's talk about roles that anyone on any class can use. Now, if you're just looking for a general purpose dueling type role, then To the Pain with Eye of the Storm. To the Pain mainly for the boost to aim assist when taking damage, and the increased handling is nice as well, but the aim assist is the main benefit here. With To the Pain, you get a stacking buff depending on how much damage you've taken, and you can keep these stacks for as long as you do not stow the weapon or die. At max stacks, which is around 20 or so, I believe, you have 100 aim assist. Then Eye of the Storm for the boost to stability and handling when you take damage. These two perks work very well together for obvious reasons. Now, if we're talking about just slaying out, then I would go with either To the Pain or Encore in that third column with Kill Clip, Sword Logic, or Swashbuckler. Now, To the Pain for the same exact reasons as before, and with Encore, getting kills buffs your stability by 8, range by 5, and also boosts the weapon's accuracy. This can stack up to 4 times, with 1 stack on body shot kills and 2 stacks on crit kills. Which you pick is really dealer's choice here. To the Pain will help you in pretty much every gunfight you get into, and Encore requires you to get a kill, so it really just depends what you prioritize. Then in that fourth column, damage perk is pretty well dealer's choice here, depending on what you want. Now, Kill Clip will give you a 25% damage buff for 7 seconds for reloading shortly after a kill. This brings Division's TTK down to 0.47 seconds with 3 crits and 1 body shot at any resilience. And that is lightning fast. So fast that in D2, that's basically too fast to even react to. Then Sword Logic gives you a 15% buff in PvP for killing normal players and a 35% buff if you kill a player in their super, but given that the chances of killing a super is fairly low with a sidearm, we'll stick with the numbers on that 15% buff. This also drops your TTK to that 0.47 second mark, but it's slightly less forgiving, requiring 4 crits at tier 10, and below tier 10, you're still at 3 crits and 1 body shot. Now, of those two, I do personally prefer Kill Clip, but Sword Logic does have the advantage of proccing immediately, meaning you don't have to worry about reloading to get that extra damage. Then, next up, you have Swashbuckler, a stacking damage buff that stacks up to 5 times, 1 stack per weapon kill, or all 5 stacks for any melee kill. And at 5 stacks, you have a 33% damage buff, and while your TTK stays the same as the previously mentioned options, it does give you some more forgiveness, 3 crits and 1 body at tier 10 resilience, then 2 crits, 2 body at anything below tier 10. But keep in mind, if you stack Radiant with Swash, which is easy to do on a Solar or Prismatic subclass, Division drops down to an absolutely insane 0.37 TTK at any resilience with 3 crits, and that is 100% too fast for anyone to react to in this game. Now, I know you're wondering, what about Hipfire Grip? And we're getting there, but first, how does Division feel just in general combat? It's okay. That's really all I can say about it. Honestly, the non-hipfire grip rolls I just didn't care for. The recoil on this weapon feels jarring when using your sights, and don't get me wrong, it's still very lethal, but I do think for just general sidearm play, there's better choices. Obviously, if you're on controller, you have pretty much all sidearms from Drang to Rat King and everything in between, and on M&K, while sidearms are exponentially less effective, you still have Drang and Peace Bond, with Peace Bond actually feeling extremely good on M&K. There will be a review out on that next Iron Banner, and Drang feeling usable on M&K. But if you're an RDM hunter, that's where this weapon changes completely. Radiant Dance Machines turns this thing into an extremely high ease of use instrument of death and destruction. And I'm sure you've noticed the clips in the background are all hipfire clips, and that's because I'm pairing it with a hipfire grip roll and RDMs along with kill clip. And that combo makes this one of the easiest, if not the easiest gun in the game to use. I mean, look at those clips. I'm being very, very lazy with my aim for the most part. Like, there's a whole bunch of body shots in there, and it's still just tearing people apart. Between the boost to your aim assist, hipfire accuracy, and range from RDMs, you can pretty well just turn off your brain with this thing and still slay out. In fact, this is one of very, very few weapons in this game that I do think could even be used in a double primary loadout with extreme effectiveness, and I mean even in environments like Comp or Trials, it's that strong with RDMs. And plus, the range with Radiant Dance Machines, oh my god, it's practically a hand cannon. The ranges I was reaching out to with this thing was genuinely shocking to me, so I went into a private match with Darcy and measured the range, and alright, 20 meters. So that's... So... Okay, so you can essentially still hit TTK or just barely over it at 22 meters with a sidearm. 22 meters of effective range. Let me say that again for anyone who isn't quite comprehending this. This sidearm has 22 meters of effective reach. Like, you might need to hit maybe one extra bullet, but even then, I want you to think about that for a moment. With RDMs, you have sidearm TTK with precision frame SMG range. And that roll isn't even a max range roll, not even close. It has 68 range. It would not surprise me at all if a max range roll with RDMs gave it 25 or more meters of reach. And that is creeping into auto rifle territory. So when I say this combo is potent, I'm talking pre-nerf target lock PK's Titan potent. It's extremely, extremely lethal and extremely easy to use. Now, is this broken? I mean, yeah, obviously, but to be fair, it's not really the fault of the weapon. By itself, Division is a good sidearm, but with the RDM's juice, it goes from being a good weapon to a legitimately overpowered one. So if you're sick of getting beamed by this weapon and rightfully crying for a nerf, just remember it's really more the fault of RDMs than Division. And when an exotic that juices hipfire is introduced into a game that was balanced around ADS gunplay, this is the sort of nonsense that happens. With RDMs, this weapon is a hard meta pick. Now, for PvE, to be clear, I don't think I'd ever use a sidearm in PvE currently, with rocket sidearms of course being the main exception. I would still say that generally SMGs are just superior close quarters options in PvE. Sidearms just aren't in the best overall spot, so keep that in mind before you take this into LFG. Do not come crying to me in the comments if you get booted for running it. Now, if you do, for whatever reason, decide to take this into PvE, you have Eddy Current, Pugilist, and Grave Robber in the third column, then Volt Shot, Sword Logic, Swash, and Surrounded on the fourth column. Now, as far as combos go, if you're on an arc build, then I'd probably go like Eddy Current with Volt Shot, unless perhaps you're building into an arc melee of some sort, in which case I'd go with Pugilist with Swash or Volt Shot. I will say too, the Pugilist with Swash combo would be good with pretty much any melee build. Now, as far as just general play goes, I'd probably stick to Pugilist since it's still something, then Sword Logic or Swashbuckler or Volt Shot. Really any of the damage or crowd control perks would work okay. Now, would I take this thing into PvE? Currently, probably not. If primary sidearms get a major PvE buff, then that's a different story, but in the current sandbox, not happening. So that's Division, a strong PvP weapon at base and an S tier meta choice with RDMs and a below average to average PvE weapon. Now, is this worth the Court of Blades grind? If you're a PvP player, then yes, absolutely. If you're a PvE player, probably not. But that's all for me today, Guardians. If you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button, leave me a comment with what you want on this weapon, and hit that subscribe button with the bell icon. If you really enjoyed this video and want to consider supporting me in other ways, check the description for my other links. For now, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, Guardians.